Alright guys, here we go. Let's jump right into creating a beat. For this one I'm only just going to use my own samples from my own sample pack, which I only just brought out on Piff Records. So let's start by setting the BPM for the track, which let's say is 130, and we start with a kick. Three seems pretty dope already. I just dragged into the timeline, and I am selecting this little bar and gonna press Command D to duplicate. Do the same thing with the 4 bars up until we got 16 bars of a kick loop going. And when selecting this area, we can press Command L to loop this. So now it's always starting from the front again. Cool. Let's fuck the rhythm up a little bit by using the same kick sample again and giving it a little groove already. Like that, just really not as loud. There as well, with a slight groove. When you select the sample, you can hold Command and then it's not gonna align to the grid, so I'm just gonna move that a tiny little bit to the right and remove the tail because we don't need it, and then put a kick right there as well. Use this section and Command D. Cool. I don't need the higher frequencies from that second kick, so I'm just going to put a filter on it and really cut the highs. And add another kick drum here just to fill in the gaps. Cool. Let's move on to a hi-hat. Like this one. Volume seems to be pretty alright already. So let's create another audio channel by pressing Command T and get a groove going with some hi-hats, with some additional hi-hats. This one is dope as well. Alright, cool. Command T again, and we have a channel for a clap, I would say. Let's use this one. It has a tiny little bit, it needs a tiny bit of time until the transient hits, so let's do the same trick we did with the kick drum and move this clap a little bit to the left by holding Command. So now the clap perfectly aligns with the beginning of the kick up there. Sounds dope. But it has like a tiny head playing afterwards or something. So we cut that, put the fade a little bit so it's short and snappy. Cool. Let's lay another clap. Yeah, this one sounds cool layered. Let's also remove some of the tail over here, so it doesn't lose the snappy short character. Duplicate it. Cool. Then let's move on and add a shaker loop. I'm gonna make a new audio channel again, go to the drum loops, and I recorded some shaker loops in the pack, which I always love to just throw in over any loop I created. Yeah, this one sounds good. Or should we try another one? Yeah, I think I like the one which doesn't have as much swing on it, so it's a little bit more bang on, but don't always need a super silly groove. Let's cut it's already cut in the low end, so I don't need that. Let's add a open hat to it, and then I think we're almost done with the drum loop. Catch the first two bars. We only need the off-hat anyway, so we take this 2-bar loop, right click in the area over here and just make it a loop and drag the whole thing across the loop towards the end. Cool. Let's bring in some more swing elements. Maybe with some percussion. Or let's put in a snare. This one. Nice and old school, mate. Can leave it almost at this volume because it really elevates the groove, I think, especially when the tail is cut. Let's also, just to glue everything together, use one of the drum loops which I created, and just slight tiny little percussion. Cool, new audio track. And let's get something else on there. This one, and instead of using the full loop like it is, let's put like a phaser on it. And to fuck with it a little bit more, maybe also like an auto filter with the bandpass option on. And let's use the inbuilt drive function. Another loop though. Too full though. Let's use like a transient designer and cut off the tails of all these elements a little bit. It's a really cool and handy tool to make everything a little bit more snappy and on point. But I think I'm going to not use the top loop, instead use this shaker. Let's see. Yeah, it's more like it. Okay, cool. Next up, we got the MIDI channel sitting here. Let's use one of the single bass notes from the pack. Ooh, Big Daddy. Pure sub. More like pure filth, mate. this could work. Again, Command J to make this a full bar, and we're gonna spread it out throughout our whole loop. Not sidechained yet, so it's interfering a little bit with the kick. I'm gonna change that in a second after I put these in a kind of a swing and use the compressor, or put it on the channel, and we're gonna open up this tab here on the arrow, click on it and click on sidechain. I think everyone knows what a sidechain is, but we're gonna route that to our kick, which is on channel 1, and we're gonna duplicate it and also route it on the other kick, which is making this little subby groove underneath, just slightly, so it doesn't play as loud when the kick hits. We're gonna open up this menu, and I always just do it like this, you know, when you click on the little yellow dot, you can move it like however you want it until it sounds good. Maybe put up the release a little bit. Maybe just to give it a little bit more harmonics, we use the drum bus. It's called the drum bus, but you can use it on basically everything. Put it in front of the sidechain best. It's pretty loud, probably. Oh no, it's alright. Got a bassline groove going on. Now we're gonna add some synthes. Let's see what we got here. We are in the key of, I think, F sharp. I played this on C sharp, and it's an F sample, so F sharp is our man. So let's just load in some samples. I like this groove for this sample. We have it a bit shortly played in a short way right now, but we're gonna just add a delay on it to fill in the gaps a little. Also, the sample is not really bang on starting, so I'm gonna move the starting point of the sample a little bit to the right and a tiny little bit of a tag so it doesn't make some weird clicking noise. Whoa, it's recording still. The spread function always is a really nice way. It's basically like the chorus, but it makes your sample a little bit wider. It's always worth trying out with anything you load in, except for drums maybe, but yeah, every synth I put in, I always just have a try with the spread function and see if it does some good stuff or not. Usually it does, so yeah, should try it out. Also, the velocity is different right now. I'm gonna put this to 0. Cool. Then the delay. A 2 should work here. Okay, I only want the delay to play with the first note and not the second, so I'm just gonna have it on the first. Maybe like this. Okay, and then we copy the first bar over to the right, so we have the same automation going on the right. Cool. Maybe a tiny little bit of reverb would also be cool. Let's choose one of the room presets. What's cool? Standard room. Okay, let's add another synth, this time maybe from the synth loops, which are in here. We are in F sharp, right? So this one's bang on. Could use it like this almost. Let's just play with the starting point. like it like that. It's a bit too loud when it comes on the kick. Let's turn the sample down a little bit. Yeah, this way I just alternated the bass line towards the end, so it plays a little bit differently towards the end. Goes up like one semitone, which makes it like a new interesting chord together with these. Okay, something like this could work. So yeah, maybe what's missing right now to just move forward into arranging a little bit more. By the way, let's copy the whole section that we just made into 32 bars, or however how many these are, I don't know, who cares. We're gonna search for a cool pad sample that we can put in the break or something, or just on top of it, to get the last sprinkle of the cake, or however you say it. So let's go into the single hits, pads. There must be, yeah, what is this, tension? Could be nice. Yes, let's use this. put like a bandpass filter on the sample, on the pad sample that we just heard. I'm gonna just modulate it towards the track by using the LFO function, which is built in the auto filter, and it's just gonna alternate the feeling of it a little bit. Again, let's see what happens if we use the spread function. Turn the velocity down, by the way. Okay, let's use the same sample again. Or maybe the robot sample, which we had before. No, the tension. To create some tension, I guess. We just use like a tiny excerpt from this. Just to let's simulate like a little drop thing. We group the two kick samples together, make it a group, and add like an auto filter with a low cut. So yeah, this is the part of the track for me where I test like if it would work for me, if it would be like a light switch that you put on and off, and if it really brightens the room. Yeah, I don't know if it would be a good way of saying it, but if this section of the track works, then it's for me worth expanding into a whole track, you know, if this idea works. So I'm just gonna create like a tiny little drop, so to say, and we see how it behaves. We do the same thing with the low cut. We do it on the bass. You don't always have to do it like that. It's just my way of testing the things. But let's see what it does. Like a little bit of a reverb on the synth loop that we put in earlier, and I'm gonna fully take it out once we drop the elements on this section. like this way of the step playing a little bit more than it did before. It wasn't really cool on the first clap. And I added like a tiny little note on top, which I thought was cool. And we're gonna make this a loop now. So instead of the 4 bars, we make it the 8 bar loop. Extend it again. Let's see what happens. We can also group all the rhythm elements that we have and maybe filter them a little bit towards the drop to give it a little bit more of a surprise moment. So I'm going to, well, by the way, when you press A, you go into the automation mode, and you can then, by just clicking on the parameter you want to modulate, modulate it in this view. So let's say we want to modulate the envelope. I just click on it, bam, and then this parameter shows up in the group, in the effect that we just have selected. But for now, let's only play with the filter, with the frequency, and then turn it off here, so it is back to its normal state again. Satisfied with the pad. So yeah, maybe we use this just kind of like a reverse synth towards the drop by letting it come out of a low bandpass filter. Okay, so yeah, I guess we got a cool little sketch going on. And you can honestly just finish a track by just having 18 different channels, you know. There's no need to just randomly drop in sample by sample. But you got something going on here already, and they're all sounds from my sample pack, so maybe they can help you as well. I hope you learned a little bit today from my workflow. I'm not always feeling when I was too quick or too slow. But yeah, this is basically the way I attack doing a track. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Bye.